the Cleveland Browns may have just drafted the most electrifying quarterback in the NFL, and they're about to let him walk without ever giving him a real shot. Shedeur Sanders isn't just another rookie. He's the rookie. The guy who torched college defenses, turned heads at the combine, and slid all the way to the 5th round not because of talent, but because teams didn't think he'd fall that far. And yet, somehow, the Browns got him. A steal. A potential franchise changer. But instead of celebrating, the front office is at war. On one side, you've got general manager Andrew Berry, the man who saw through the noise, made the pick, and believes Shedeur could be the future of the franchise. On the other side, billionaire owner Jimmy Haslam, who didn't want him, didn't approve the pick, and now just confirmed that trade rumors are very real. So here's the question. Why is the best quarterback in Browns camp being buried behind guys he's outplaying? Why is a player who's leading in touchdowns, completion percentage, and locker room respect still stuck behind aging vets and shaky rookies? Why are the Saints a franchise in full-blown quarterback collapse circling like sharks, ready to strike a deal? And how did one 5th-round draft pick ignite a power struggle that could define the future of 2 NFL teams? This isn't just about football anymore. It's about power, pride, and a franchise on the edge of making a decision it can't take back. Because if the Browns don't wake up, they might hand the next breakout star quarterback to a team that passed on him twice and now desperately wants him back. And for Shedeur Sanders, his time is coming. The only question left is, where will it be? Shedeur Sanders wasn't supposed to still be on the board in the 5th round. Not with the stats he put up in college. Not with the spotlight that followed him. And definitely not with the pedigree of being Coach Prime's son, a quarterback who lived under pressure every single snap and thrived anyway. He walked into the NCAA with a target on his back, cameras in his face, and expectations sky high. And he delivered. Accurate throws, game-winning drives, composure that made veteran scouts double take. He wasn't just a highlight machine, he was surgical, efficient, NFL ready. So how did the league let him slide? There are whispers always are. That he was cocky. That he benefited from media hype. That his game wouldn't translate. But every measurable, every tape, every metric said otherwise. And when the Browns saw him still sitting there deep into day 3, Andrew Berry didn't hesitate. 5th round. Low risk. Insane upside. This wasn't a flyer, this was a calculated move from a GM trying to build something real. But here's where things get murky. Because while fans were buzzing, analysts were nodding in approval, and Shedeur was putting on a Browns hat with a smirk like he knew he'd prove everyone wrong, the man upstairs wasn't smiling. Jimmy Haslam, the owner, the final voice, the check signer. He didn't co-sign this pick. And in a franchise where ownership doesn't just sit in the suite but gets in the way, that matters more than anyone wants to admit. From the very moment the draft card was turned in, the war had already begun. In most NFL buildings, the owner signs checks, the GM builds the team. Simple enough until it isn't. Inside the Browns front office, that line is more blurred than ever. Andrew Berry made the move. He saw the film. He studied the poise. He knew what Shedeur Sanders brought to the table, not just the stats, but the intangibles. He wasn't just drafting a quarterback, he was betting on a future leader, a player who could bring stability to a franchise that's known anything but that. Berry knew the risks. He also knew the upside was too big to pass. But Jimmy Haslam? He saw something different. A flashy name, a media magnet, a distraction. And worst of all, a decision made without his blessing. Haslam didn't sign off on Shedeur, and that silence spoke volumes. Because in Cleveland, ownership doesn't stay quiet for long, and it doesn't forget when it's left out of the loop. From day one, insiders whispered about the tension. Haslam kept his distance. Shedeur stayed buried on the depth chart, and no matter how good the kid looked in practice, the message was loud and clear. You're not the guy. Not yet. Maybe not ever. This isn't just a disagreement over a player. This is a philosophical divide. One that cuts straight through the foundation of the franchise. A GM trying to build something for the future. An owner trying to control the present. And now, that quiet power struggle has exploded into public view. Haslam has confirmed the trade rumors. Berry hasn't said a word. But the war lines are drawn. And in the middle of it all, a 21-year-old quarterback who's playing the best football of anyone in that building and still can't get a first-team rep. Training camp is supposed to be the great equalizer. It's where depth charts shift, underdogs shine, and reputations get rewritten under the summer sun. And by every measure that matters, Shedeur Sanders isn't just winning camp, he's dominating it. While the other quarterbacks have stumbled through drills, struggled with consistency, and hesitated in live reps, Shedeur has looked like he's been here before. Poised, sharp, unbothered. 9 for 9, 2 touchdowns. Against the first-team defense. That's not just a hot day, that's a statement. Ask anyone watching the Browns this summer and you'll hear the same thing. Shedeur looks like the real deal. He's not just accurate, he's decisive. He doesn't flinch in the pocket, he doesn't force throws. He just delivers. His footwork, clean. His timing, crisp. His command of the offense, scary. Good for a rookie, barely a few weeks into his first NFL training camp. But it's more than just numbers. Veterans are talking. Quietly, but consistently. They've seen rookies come and go. They've seen hot starts fizzle. And still they're leaning in, watching Shedeur, nodding when he threads a ball through tight coverage or checks out of a bad play like a 10-year pro. They see it. The coaches see it. The fans at camp see it. And yet, despite all of it, the reps with the starters just aren't happening. Because for all the excellence Shedeur's shown on the field, what's happening off of it is even more powerful and way more political. Let's call it what it is. Cleveland's quarterback room is a train wreck. Not on paper, maybe, but on the field, it's chaos. Joe Flacco is a respected veteran, a Super Bowl MVP. But that was a decade ago. These days, he's more clipboard than comeback. His arm's not what it used to be, and mobility, practically non-existent. At this point, Flacco isn't competing for a starting job. He's holding it warm for whoever's next. Then there's Dillon Gabriel. Young, athletic, flashes, talent here and there, but the inconsistency is brutal. His footwork is sloppy. His accuracy drifts. And when the pass rush comes, he looks like a deer in headlights. And we haven't even mentioned Kenny Pickett injured again. No timeline, no clarity, no real competition. So, while the veterans miss throws and the depth chart spins in circles, Shedeur Sanders is dropping dimes with the third team. Let that sink in. The most productive quarterback in Browns camp, the guy with the highest completion percentage, 0 interceptions in team drills, and a knack for extending plays can't even sniff a first-team rep. Why? Not because of performance, not because of preparation, not because he's struggling. Because in Cleveland, it's not about football right now. It's about egos. It's about optics. It's about a GM and an owner fighting for control of a franchise that hasn't been able to get out of its own way for decades. If this were any other team, any other functional team, Shedeur Sanders would already be in the Cubone conversation. In Cleveland, he's behind players he's already outperformed. And the longer they ignore the obvious, the louder the outside noise gets. Because while the Browns are pretending things are fine, one team across the league is unraveling and watching Shedeur closer than anyone. If Cleveland is confused, New Orleans is in full-on panic mode. The Saints thought they had their quarterback problem solved. Veteran leader. Steady presence. Locker room glue. Derek Carr was supposed to be the answer until he shocked everyone and retired out of nowhere. No warning. No backup plan. Just a gaping hole under center. And in the NFL, when you lose a QB that late in the offseason, desperation sets in fast. The Saints' response? A gamble. They used a second-round pick on Tyler Show, a developmental project at best. Not a proven winner, not a plug-and-play guy, just a name they grabbed because they had to do something. From the moment Roger Goodell called his name, the backlash hit like a wave. Booed. Analysts rolled their eyes. Even some of the players were reportedly stunned. Schuff was never supposed to start right away, but now? He's the only real option they've got, and it's going terribly. His footwork? Clunky. Reads? Delayed. Mechanics? All over the place. And decision-making? Local reporters called his 2-minute drill the worst they've ever seen. Let that sink in. Not just bad. Not just rookie mistakes. The worst they've ever seen. This isn't growing pains. This is a team that's crashing before the season even begins. The Saints have a talented roster, playmakers at wide receiver, a solid O-line, a defense that can hang with anyone. But without a quarterback to lead them, it's all going to waste. And that's why their eyes are now locked on Cleveland. Because while Tyler Shough can't complete basic installs, Shedeur Sanders is lighting up NFL defenses in training camp like he's been here for years. And unlike Shough, Shedeur doesn't need time. He's ready right now. The 2025 NFL Draft will be remembered for a lot of reasons. But for the New Orleans Saints, it might go down as a masterclass in what not to do. When their name came up in the second round, Shedeur Sanders, one of the most accomplished, polished, and marketable quarterbacks in the class, was still sitting right there. And the Saints passed. Not once, not twice, multiple times. They didn't just miss him. They actively chose someone else, a quarterback most scouts had listed as a third-day flyer, not a franchise piece. Kyler Show wasn't even in the top 5 on most QB boards. He was a developmental project. Maybe someday kind of guy. But the Saints sold it. They told the media, the fans, and maybe even themselves that this was their future. Now, the future looks grim. Schuff is unraveling, the media is roasting him, the locker room is reportedly losing faith, and the front office is scrambling again. Meanwhile, every day that goes by, Shedeur Sanders is looking more and more like the one that got away. Fans are connecting the dots. Analysts are asking questions. And the team that once brushed him off is now quietly trying to trade for him before it's too late. Think about that. The Saints had the chance to draft him. They said no. Now they want to pay a premium in picks or players just to get him in the building. That's not strategy, that's regret. And as bad as it looks for New Orleans, this story isn't just about who missed on Shedeur. It's about who's willing to let him go. At first, it was just whispers. The kind of rumors that pop up when a rookie outperforms expectations but still can't crack the lineup. A few message board threads, some buzz on sports radio, nothing official. Until Jimmy Haslam opened his mouth. The Browns owner didn't just acknowledge the trade talk, he confirmed it. In one quote, he turned rumor into reality. And just like that, the league took notice. Because once the guy signing the checks says a player is available, that's not smoke anymore, that's fire. The phones started ringing. The Saints weren't the only ones calling, but they were the loudest. Their desperation is real, their quarterback room is collapsing, and Shedeur Sanders isn't just the best young option, he might be their only option. Even former NFL stars like Asante Samuel are going public, saying what fans and scouts are already thinking. The Saints need to make that call today. And now, with the trade door wide open, Cleveland's leverage has never been higher. Shedeur is the hottest name on the market, and he hasn't even played a preseason snap. His performance in camp is legendary already. His upside? Off the charts. His contract? Dirt cheap. His ceiling? Untouched. For teams in need like the Saints, this is the kind of move that resets a franchise. But for the Browns? This is a crossroads. Because every team can get caught in the heat of the moment, but only a few are willing to trade away a potential superstar before he even gets his chance. If Cleveland pulls the trigger, they might be giving another team their next decade under center. And if they don't, they better have a plan. Because sitting Shedeur behind struggling vets while the NFL watches him waste away on the sideline, that's not a plan. That's a disaster waiting to happen. At first glance, this might look like classic mismanagement. You've got a young quarterback outperforming every veteran on the roster, and yet he's still buried behind names with less production, less upside, and way more mileage. But there's another possibility, one that makes this whole situation even more strategic and far more complicated. What if the Browns know exactly what they have in Shedeur Sanders? What if this isn't neglect, but a slow-burn chess move? Let's say Haslam and Barry see the same jaw-dropping throws, the same leadership, the same future franchise guy aura that everyone else sees. And let's say they're keeping him in their back pocket quietly, building value, stalling on trade talks, and waiting for the perfect moment to either unleash him or cash in big. Because here's the truth. If Shedeur goes off in preseason really goes off, it changes everything. His value skyrockets. The offers get sweeter. The pressure from fans, analysts, and other front offices explodes. And Cleveland? They either hand him the keys or walk away with a king's ransom. But that plan only works if the ego stays out of the way. And right now, that's the biggest threat of all. Jimmy Haslam didn't want Shedeur. So letting him shine, letting him win, means admitting the GM was right. That the guy he didn't believe in might be the next face of the franchise. And that's the kind of pride that gets in the way of progress. Because if Haslam lets ego cloud judgment, he might sabotage both the player and the team. On the flip side, if Barry digs in too hard refusing to move Sanders, refusing to entertain trade talks out of stubbornness, he could waste the kid's prime years in a locker room that won't let him lead. This isn't just a QB situation, it's a power struggle. And the longer it drags on, the more risk everyone takes. Because there's one more factor no one's talking about yet, and it could change everything fast. Training camp is one thing, but live action? That's where reputations are made or shattered. And for Shedeur Sanders, the preseason isn't just another test. It's a spotlight. It's leverage. It's his chance to flip the script and force the Browns' hand. Because if he shows up under the lights the same way he's been tearing up practice fields, all bets are off. Imagine this. The Browns trot him out late in the second half of a preseason game just to see what he can do. Then boom, 3 drives, 2 touchdowns, flawless execution, electric presence. The crowd erupts. Social media explodes. NFL GMs are texting each other mid-game. And suddenly, the Browns can't hide him anymore. Now it's real. The debate isn't should we trade him. It's how the hell are we going to justify keeping him on the bench? Because the better he plays, the harder it becomes to bury him. The trade offers get louder, the fan pressure gets stronger, and every veteran quarterback above him on the depth chart starts to feel that heat creeping up their spine. This is what the Browns should want, a young, confident, explosive quarterback who thrives when the lights come on. But instead, they're walking a tightrope. Let him shine, and they risk a locker room revolution if they keep him benched. Try to suppress him, and they risk tanking his value or worse, breaking his trust. The preseason is the wild card, the ultimate truth serum. If Shedeur Sanders goes off in those games, Cleveland's timeline speeds up overnight. There's no more waiting, no more hiding behind development. You either give him the shot, or you watch someone else do it. And if that someone else is New Orleans, the Browns may never hear the end of it. Let's strip this down to what it really is. This isn't just a story about a 5th-round quarterback outperforming veterans. It's not just about a messy front office, or trade rumors, or the Saints' desperation. This is about how the NFL really works. It's about ego over evaluation, politics over production, and pride getting in the way of progress. Shedeur Sanders has done everything right. He's shown the poise. He's made the throws. He's earned the locker room. But he's still stuck waiting for permission, not from a coach, but from a billionaire who didn't want him in the first place. And that's the tragedy. Because if this kid was drafted in the first round, he'd already have the keys to the offense. Instead, he's got to fight through layers of bias, bureaucracy, and business. The Browns say they want to win. They say they're building something real. But if they let a talent like this slip through their fingers just because it wasn't the owner's idea, then they're not building anything. They're just recycling the same old dysfunction. Meanwhile, in New Orleans, they're hungry. They're watching. And they might just be willing to do what Cleveland won't. Believe. So here we are, a moment that could change 2 franchises forever. Shedeur Sanders is ready. The question isn't if he'll become a star. The question is, will it happen in Cleveland? Or will they have to watch it on someone else's highlight reel? This has been the Huddle HQ. Like the video, hit that subscribe button, and drop your take in the comments. Should the Browns keep Shedeur or let him walk into greatness somewhere else? We'll be back tomorrow. Stay locked in.